Today, we're going to talk about something a little bit dirty, a little bit inappropriate, maybe a little something that your parents didn't want to talk to you about. We're going to talk about money. Specifically, we're going to talk about my money. I'm going to peel back the curtains and show you all of my income streams. I'm going to show you how I make those. I'm going to show you the progression of how I've made income over the last 15 years, all the lessons that I've learned about money that nobody taught me, and what I think is the best way for you to increase your personal income right now. Let's get into it. I went back and forth about whether or not I wanted to cover this topic in my head for the longest time. So let me just preface this video by saying this. If you are the type of person that is going to get all in your feelings about me talking about my money, getting all triggered, just move on. This video is for people like myself who were never taught about money, whose parents raised them to get a good job and go to school and climb the ladder, work the same job for 50 years. That's all I ever knew about money. And God bless my parents because I love them to death, but that's all that they knew. So that's what they passed on to me. Everything that I learned about money, I learned from doing it and figuring it out on my own and learning from people who were ahead of me that could help me out to figure out what my next step was. This video is not to flex, it's not to boast. I don't care about things. My wife and I share one car. I take all of my excess capital and I'm pushing it into investments. This video is not going to be me sitting on top of a Lamborghini. Those are not my goals in life, and that's not how I see money. I view money as a tool, as a mechanism for me to make more without necessarily having to do more. So with all that being said, let's jump on over to my computer where I'm going to show you the timeline of how I made income and where those income streams come from.
Hey, real quick, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. I post weekly content only for my subscribers, like links to my private Slack channel, office hours, and free access to marketing templates and tools. So if you don't want to miss out, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell. That's it.
So I built this really, of course, handy dandy little timeline here that I'm going to run you through year by year to show you how my income has progressed and how I've made that income too in terms of the different streams that I had. But before I do that, I just want to show you my bank account real quick. And again, this is not a stunt. This is not a flex. This is merely to serve as a benchmark. You might be making more than this. Awesome. You might be making less than that. No problem. You can get here too. But this past year, 2021, I claimed $850,000 of personal income, not business income, personal income that actually hit my personal account that I was taxed on personally. You can see right here, there's about $485,000 left of that after taxes. So hopefully what you'll also notice is that I don't spend a lot of money. I don't care about things. I care about assets. I don't care about cars. I don't care about boats. I don't care about toys. I don't care about none of that shit. What I care about is my family. I care about our future. I want to retire by the time I'm 45 so I can watch my kids grow up. I can be present for them. I can be a dad to them. And I can make my money go make me money as opposed to have me sit behind a computer every day for 12 hours. Again, money to me is a tool. It's a way for me to speed up what I'm currently doing to make more of it so I can live the life that I want without having to put in all this time and energy in order to do so. Again, that was never something that I was taught. That was never something that my parents raised me up to do. They just told me to go to school, get a good job, save for retirement, and you'll be set. But the world has changed. It's not the same anymore. You gotta have an income plan for yourself and your family if you really wanna be able to live the American dream from 20, 30 years ago. And that's what I'm gonna show you as we get into this timeline. I graduated from undergrad in 2008, where I took a job in consulting with a salary of $55,000. It was for a really good company. I was super excited about it. Big Four consulting firm, great salary, great future, health, dental, all the fixins. Until I finished my first week of the job and I realized that I couldn't live my life doing that. Couldn't wake up every day, put on a suit and tie for the same amount of money every single day with absolutely no motivation to make more, only to chase the carrot to get promoted just to do more work, have a little bit more responsibility for a little bit more money. And then on top of it, I was building somebody else's dream with my time, my equity, my labor, and I couldn't do it. It just made me uncomfortable, made me cringe, and I realized I was going to go to sleep, wake up tomorrow and be 50 and still be doing the same damn thing. And I refused to live my life like that. So what I started doing is I started doing what anyone would do. I was Googling ways to make money, how to make money from home, how to make money online. This is 15 years ago, 20 years ago, mind you. What I came across was the infancy of internet marketing, specifically search engine optimization. So what I started doing was learning everything that I could about it, watching videos, reading books, reading blogs, anything. And mind you, this is a while ago, so most of the information up there was not as helpful as it is today. It was mostly get rich quick schemes that were sucking you in and selling you crap that you didn't need. So I started building my own websites and just learning about it firsthand on my own. And I dedicated myself to it. I became obsessed with it every single day, every single night, on the job, at home, weekends, everything that I could to consume as much as I possibly could so I could get out of that job. So I did that for about a year. until I ended up meeting somebody in a Facebook group actually who also did SEO, who was also in Miami. And we decided to team up and start an SEO agency. We started taking on clients, $300 a month, $500 a month to manage their website and to help them rank higher in Google. And this is back in the day when it was super easy. You literally just changed the title tag and bought a few links and they would skyrocket up to the first place in Google. That business was going pretty well for us. We're making anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 per month, and I was pulling down a couple $1,000s per month here and there. However, that did not last long, because what ended up happening was I woke up one day and I was locked out of the business accounts. My email was deleted, everything. The kid just totally ghosted on me and kicked me out of the business. And because we hadn't fully signed the paperwork, I didn't have any legal rights to the business. Huge learning lesson for me, both in business and in life. One, business partners are kind of like romantic partners. They're not all meant to go to the distance. And whether you like it or not, sometimes they fall apart. Number two, you can either sail it in and go back to what you're doing, or you can pick yourself up and do it again and fail forward. It's cliche, but it's a fact. It was something that I learned playing Division I football in college, was that your ass is going to get knocked down, but that doesn't matter. Are you the type of person that's going to get back up and look that motherfucker in the eye and say, do it again, because I'm going to be here all day. I'm going to be in your ear all damn day. And you're going to have to knock me down every single play if you want to beat me. That's the type of attitude that you have to take, because this shit is hard. It is not easy. Anything worthwhile having in life is incredibly difficult, especially making money. It's competitive out here and it's cutthroat out here. And if you don't have the mental fortitude, you don't have the stomach, you're not going to make it. So start working on that right now, because you're going to get the shit kicked out of you out here. But that's okay. Get back up and keep moving forward. On a more positive note, for me, of what I thought anyways, is that at that same time, I actually ended up getting promoted out of that job. And this is when I fully realized that I had to get out of there, because this is what companies do. I call it dangling the carrot. They dangle the carrot to get you to do it a little bit more, to pay you a little bit more, and to get you to recommit to that job. So at that time, I learned a whole new skill set. What I was doing at Accenture was mainly business process consulting for software companies. I knew a little bit about analytics, but not really that much about marketing. Everything I learned about marketing, I was learning on my own. So I started looking for other types of work that was more aligned in the marketing space. And I found this contractor job at this massive digital agency called Sapient Nitro. They worked with some huge clients like Target, like Best Buy, Visit Florida, really, really big websites. They ended up hiring me, even though I fudged half my resume. So they hired me onto the performance marketing and analytics team, where I was actually able to start talking and doing SEO on a daily basis and learning from very big companies and very big enterprise websites about how to do it. So I learned a lot more about SEO on the technical side, on the marketing side, about analytics. It really helped to round out my career a lot. And in hindsight, it's one of the best things I think I did for my career, because sometimes when you get kicked down, man, you realize that you got to learn more. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough to run the business. I didn't have the skill set yet. And this is where a lot of people who go into the service-based businesses struggle, is that your skill set isn't good enough to run a $10 million business. So sometimes you got to humble yourself. Sometimes you got to get kicked down. Sometimes you got to have to go through that process where you get picked back up, and you got to rededicate yourself to the craft. So the good thing is that salary was a lot higher, $125,000 a year in salary, but I had no other income coming in. I was just learning. I was a sponge trying to learn as much as I could. And what I started doing at that time was I started blogging under my new website, Webrus. And I was literally just talking about the things that I was doing on a daily basis, building reports, SEO tactics, what I'm learning, strategy. And what happened was that blog picked up a lot of traction. It got me a lot of attention. I started getting asked to guest post on websites like Moz and Search Engine Journal and stuff like that, which elevated myself and started bringing in leads for people who wanted to work with me again. So after 2 years of that, I started working with SEO clients again under the brand name Webrus. I didn't make any additional money. I was still taking that salary. I was still doing it as a side hustle because I was scared. I was scared to lose that security blanket, which is where so many entrepreneurs are. That side hustle that you're doing that you love so much, but isn't quite making enough income for you to leave, keeps you trapped at your job. At one point, you got to remove that security blanket and just leap. Jump. Have faith that the parachute will open on the way down. Believe in yourself. Believe in your skills. Believe in your business. Because if you don't, you're going to be stuck here with a security blanket for the rest of your life, and you're never going to know what you're really made of. On a side note, at that time, I also launched a e-commerce website called Laces Out. We sold shoelaces direct to consumer. I was just buying them off Alibaba, ranked it for a bunch of different shoelace keywords in Google, and was actually started making pretty good revenue off that website. So between those two things, between the SEO clients that I started taking on at Webrus and then Laces Out as well, I finally got up the courage to leave that job that I was doing at Sapient Nitro as a digital contractor. It was a very difficult and very scary decision for me, but ultimately when I look back at myself and my career path, it's one of the best decisions that I ever made, because it forced me to dedicate my full time and attention to running my agency. And by doing so, figure out how I could make more money off it and take a salary. So I took a pretty big pay cut doing this, but at the same time, my little side hustle here, Laces Out, was generating about $100,000 a year in revenue, and it was a pretty high margin business. So I was taking about an additional $50K at the end of the year as a distribution from that company. So I was able to kind of sustain my income in a sense. But the thing is, man, I'm telling you right now, if I didn't leave, if I would have just stayed here, this never would have gotten to here, and this would never would have gotten to here either. Yeah, I probably could have made, an extra $50,000 off this per year and made more money here, But ultimately, it's about investing long-term in the business. That's a means to an end. You cannot run a business if you are doing something else. You have to dedicate your full-time attention to your business. It needs to be your primary hustle, not your side hustle. Side hustle is a great way to learn, great way to generate some income, get a little confidence in yourself. But ultimately, you have to take that jump. You have to take that jump. You have to take that jump. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck watching videos like this for the rest of your life, wondering what could have been. So after about a year of running my agency Webriss full time, I actually sold the business Laces Out. I realized that I wanted to focus full time on my agency. But what I also started was our training arm. I realized I was very good at teaching and coaching these tactics, and I decided to build a video learning program where I could sell this information online as well. So at that time, I was selling it under our agency Webriss, but I rebranded it to Blueprint over time as well. And at that point, salary started picking up from the agency. We were doing very well. The business was growing. We actually hit over $1 million in revenue that year because I was focused full time on growing that business. So I was able to pick my salary back up to about $150,000 in income. The agency was doing very well, and because I was still blogging, I was still very active. If you go back on my YouTube channel, you can see the videos that I was making from years ago. I actually ended up selling the agency Webriss. I sold it to another agency. They acquired it. Part of the deal was that I got a cash buyout, but I also joined that executive team. So it was kind of like an acqui-hire merge. So it wasn't a full exit. I got a little bit of a cash out, but I also joined the other agency on the executive team. Part of that deal was I was taking a $200,000 salary. And at that time also, the Blueprint was picking up and doing very, very well. I was able to keep that. So I was doing about $100,000 in additional income selling those video-based trainings and learnings. And then I was also doing some consulting, some one-on-one coaching with other agencies. After I sold it, it gave me a lot of attention in the agency space. People wanted to know how I sold it. So I was picking up a lot of clients from that. I was doing calls for about $500 a piece. I was doing some short-term projects, $5,000 to $10,000 to $15,000 here and there. And it was really helping to supplement my income with that as well. And the best part about consulting income is that it's 100% margin. The only thing that goes into it really is your time and energy. So it's pretty much all profit. But after about 2 years of being with that agency, for a lot of reasons, again, just like I said before, not all partnerships last. That partnership began to erode, and I realized it was time for me to leave, and it was time for me to go back and do my own thing. So the challenge was there is that the terms of that agreement was that they basically owned me. They owned the business. And we came to a settlement where I basically had to leave the company with nothing, no employees, no clients, basically starting over. But I got the rights back to my brand Webriss so I could run my agency again. Because part of the terms of the buyout was I can't work in the agency space anymore because I'm a competitor. So we were able to come to terms of an agreement where I could rerun my agency again. But the challenge was I started with nothing. I had to rebuild all over again. However, what I did leave with was a ton of knowledge, a ton of experience. Now knowing exactly the type of business that I wanted to run, the type of business that I did not want to run, which is a massive agency with a lot of employees, I basically went back to the drawing board and was able to start and build from the ground up. And I started this new business model where I call it a productized SEO service, where I wasn't doing custom work. I wasn't doing all this crazy consulting. I was doing one very specific thing for a specific type of client. And that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to build something that was operationally easy, that did not require a ton of people, that could be heavily automated, and that our clients would love us for it. That's it. At that same time, I also started a WordPress plugin called Capture and Convert. Picked up my consulting a little bit more as well because I had a significant drop off in income here. It's a very difficult time in my life. At that point, I was 32 years old. It's not like I was young. So to take that much of a step back in income was a pretty significant hit, not just to my bank account, but a little bit to my ego as well. But the good thing was that the Blueprint training was up and running. It was doing very well, very high margin. I was able to live off that and also kept on doing my consulting as well. Now, this is really where things started to take off for me was when I went all in, when I bought into myself, when I believed in myself, when I believed in my vision, when I believed in my business model, when I believed that I didn't need anybody else, when I believed that I could do it myself. This is really where things started to go very well for me. When I removed all the security blankets, I didn't have another job. I didn't have a side hustle. I was purely focused on growing one business. That's where things really started to take off. Part of that was I sold Capture and Convert, that WordPress plugin. I just wanted to focus on the core businesses, which was my agency and then also the training business as well, because they kind of went hand in hand together. What I was doing at my agency, I was then teaching and coaching via videos. So it wasn't like a completely different side of the brain. It was really just a matter of the trainings that I was building internally for my agency Webriss. I was then also selling through the Blueprint, which was a very high margin business. So 2020, I was able to clear about $250,000 from the Blueprint, all in distributions and equity. I also was able to clear about $125,000 from my agency Webriss as we were growing, and then another additional $125,000 from consulting. In 2021, things continued to grow for me. This time too, I learned a little bit about investing, and I learned that I didn't want to be working nonstop for my money. Anything that I had to do direct input for was something that I wanted to start clearing away and stripping away. And that's really where I am now. I'm looking not to buy stuff that's going to make me feel cool or make me look cool to other people. I want to invest in things that are assets that are going to grow over time without my direct input and can pay me dividends or can pay me cash, can pay me distributions. So that way I can continue to stack my income and get more income streams without having to do direct input for it and sitting and staring at a computer for 12 hours a day. So this past year was a great year for the Blueprint. Did a couple $1 million in revenue. I was able to pull about $325,000 from that business. Weber's did well over 7 figures. I took 250 from there. Consulting is really starting to take off. I've been working with some larger brands as well as a ton of agency consulting as well. And now also my investments are starting to pay dividends. My wife and I, we invest in some short-term rental properties, Airbnb properties that she then manages. So I'm putting my cash up in those. I'll do another video that talks about our investment strategy over there and all in, but I just wanted to show you really quick how I made income to then start investing. So just another breakdown of the income from this past year. And this is where I want to start talking about you and how you can increase your income. Now, look, at the end of the day, there's no right or wrong way. You can watch my video, I'll tell you one thing, you watch another person, they'll tell you another thing. All I know is how I did it. And I did it through services, professional services, which starts with learning a skill. If you are stuck, if you don't know how to make more money, what you need to do is you need to learn a skill that solves a problem for a business who's willing to pay you for it. That's it boiled down to the simplest thing. If you're going to ask me, I would do something in marketing or sales. So 2 things that are not going to be automated. They're not going to be boxed out by technology and AI. They will always, for the foreseeable future, require a very smart human like yourself to oversee it and manage it. Now, what I want you to also understand is that it takes time, it takes dedication, it takes commitment, it takes discipline to learn a skill and to master it. If you go all the way back, this started for me in 2008. It's 2022, 14 years ago when I started learning this. And even now, today, I'm still learning, I'm still growing. And when you zoom out here and you look at the progression, it's one of those cliche things, right? Where it's not a straight line. It has ups and it has downs. And if you're having a setback, it might not be a setback. If you have the right faith, if you have the right belief, it's actually an investment. Every time I've gone down, I've gone back up. I've gone down to go back up, because sometimes, just like if you're stripping down a tree for it to grow new branches, sometimes you got to strip down what you're doing to make more. Sometimes you have to focus on one thing to make more. I know I've got multiple income streams here, but I'm telling you, they're all rooted from one simple idea. And that's the concept of search engine optimization. All of my businesses run on that concept. And because of that one concept, I've been able to grow and level up. And now the consulting that I'm doing is not just for SEO, it's holistic marketing. Because now I know how to grow a business from end to end, specifically from the marketing and sales point of view. I'm a master of customer acquisition now. I understand all channels now, but it all started with that one thing. It's a butterfly effect. You learn in one, master one thing, and it's going to open up more doors for you. There's so much opportunity for you. There's so much opportunity out there right now. There's really no reason for you to be working a job that you hate, to be doing something that you don't love, to not be making the income that you want to make. But I'm telling you, it's not an overnight thing. And that's why I wanted to peel this back. This is not a stunt thing. This is to show you how long and how much time and how much energy it takes to get to somewhere. This is not an explosive overnight growth thing. This is a long, hard slog. And I'm only 35 and I'm just beginning. I'm only scratching the surface of where I want to get to and where I want to go and where I want to take my family. So look, that's all I have for this video. It went a lot longer than I wanted to. Again, I really hope that you didn't take this as a beat my chest stunt thing. If anything, I'm trying to motivate you. I'm trying to encourage you. I'm trying to show you that whatever your dreams are, you can do it if you put in the time and the energy and the discipline. If you take a zoom out and you look at things from a holistic point of view, you're probably only looking at a microcosm, which is why you're feeling down, which is why you're feeling like a setback. But again, setbacks can lead to very large pieces of growth if you stick with it, if you push, if you believe. So that's all I've got for this video. If you like this, please leave me some comments, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.